Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I guess we'll get started today with the utility board meeting. We have two people that have signed up under the public forum. So first this afternoon will be Brenda Powell.
My name is Brenda Powell. I live 1409 31st Street here in Vienna. Thank you for having the opportunity to come before the board to speak today. I wanted to start out with the stormwater actual, cost that's being provided to take care of the issue at 4705 8th Avenue. There's alternative 1, 2, and 3 in the breakdowns of different ones I guess the board will be choosing from. I noticed that on the alternative 1 on number 1, it had under the mobilization complete, it has $96,000, and the other 2 has $9,600. So I don't know whether that is a typo, but I just wanted to bring that to the attention, to the board in regards to that. The other thing is the costs that were not listed actually are for the engineering firm as well as easements and costs of the boring under the ground and the geotechnical evaluations, but also the relocating any of the outbuildings or and such. So at the time, I'm sure that the city will advise the public at some point once this decision has made what this cost is going to involve. I also wanted to talk about the dredging, from where it's going to begin to where it's going to end. My thoughts of it at the time is I thought that maybe in Pond Run, where there's a lot of overgrowth and looks like dirt that has over the years collected in certain areas within this, the pond run area. I was hoping that would just be the issue that would be addressed, but I guess that's not what is going to entail. It is a lot of money, and I just was curious about that. Also, the 5-year plan that Burgess and Knifels is putting together, and that it's a draft. I didn't know when that's going to be finished and when it's going to be presented to the public for their review before any money is sought for a bond in order to, because it's going to raise water and sewer fees. So I didn't know when that was going to come about, but I think the public needs to have that information available to them. One other thing that I wanted to bring up is the lead testing. That was brought up many, many months ago. It was earlier in the year that Lisa was working on for Burgess and Knifels to find out about the lead possibility in our water system. We never did get an update on that. Never did hear anything regarding that. And I wondered when that was going to be available to the public to know what the outcome is with that. So those are the things I just wanted to bring forward to the board, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bruce Stouffer.
Hello. Some of you have probably not met me. I'm Bruce Stouffer. I'm a resident at 4705 8th Avenue. Just wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm not talking about anything different than we've spoke about before at city council meetings. I know the issue in front of my home, we first addressed the council 20 plus years ago, and we're told that this was all on a long-term plan. Didn't know it would be quite this long, but as far as a fix for the drainage, There's a couple other things at my wife's request. I'm just kind of want to make sure. I know there's some public forums out there. I didn't even know they existed to talk in Vienna citizens or something, but maybe some misconceptions in that we had a utility board meeting in front of my home at one point, and we also, there were suggestions about a driveway change, and somebody in that forum made the comment that, oh, I wouldn't do it because my car would drag. Well, I really don't care about the car, never did. It was a comment that was made when they said if you raise it up. It was just an off-the-cuff comment. We're not difficult citizens, just like you to know that we are trying to follow the responsible path as a citizen to resolve an issue. It's been an ongoing issue for, like I said, I'm sure it's not just, it's the 20 plus years I've lived there. But just wanted to let you know that that's the path we've chosen to follow, and we appreciate that you take the time to listen to us, and hopefully we can get this issue resolved. Thank you.
I'd like to call to order this regular utility board meeting for the city of Vienna. If you all would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll that all members of the utility board are present today. Having a quorum, we will proceed. The date for the minutes on the last meeting, Lori, where are you? What's the date on it?
October 8th.
The minutes from the October the 8th utility board meeting have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. We move on to unfinished business. Craig, water quality testing.
Come back good. You got 2 reports this time, so let them show your quality water going into the system.
All right. So now we move to item number 2, which is the 4705 8th Avenue property. Craig Richards or Mike, who has the updated cost estimates?
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
All right.
If you'll let me hear. At the last board meeting, the board asked us to provide with the updated cost estimates for the 3 different options that we evaluated back in 2017. And for those of us that are involved in the utility construction business, we know that there's been some increase in costs even just over the last year and a half. So we did make some adjustments upward on all the costs, and Ms. Powell's correct. The mobilization for alternative number 1 is showing $96,000. It should be $96,000. So I apologize for that. The alternative number 1 preliminary estimated cost of construction should be $209,000. But anyway, so let me walk you through that package just so everybody has a handle on what it is that we did. I'll start. You have the cover page, and you got one sheet in there that's color coded. That color coding, what's shown green there, is the area that's designated as that's the watershed. Such that if a drop of water lands at any spot in that green, it ends up basically running to and through that property at 4705 8th Avenue. So that's the runoff calculations that we did, the size of the pipe were based on that particular watershed. And when we did our report back in 2017, we looked at 3 different options to route that stormwater around or keep it from going through 4705. And I trust that these are pretty much self-explanatory about how we laid it out. There's 2 options that take it around the house and go through the backyards and end up over that larger drainage channel that that runs east-west behind, between 6th and 7th Avenue. So alternative one, we had a corrected cost for alternative one of roughly $209,000. You see a layout there for number two. That is a alignment that Craig had asked us to take a look at, is try to keep the storm sewer in the public right of way, keep it in the street, and then take that flow all the way back towards the northeast, to again, take it into that same large drainage channel, and discharge it in that direction. Got a cost estimate of that of $233,000 for construction. And then the third alternative, number three, is a much longer path of construction of pipe. It takes it through backyards again, heading to the north towards Grand Central. And it discharges in that same drainage channel, that large drainage channel, except it's over closer towards 6th Avenue before it hits Grand Central Avenue. So those are the three different options we had. And the reason why it's construction only and doesn't include the engineering fees, because there's a difference in cost associated with the project. I know that the Public Works Department, Utility Board Department in the past has taken on themselves to build some of these projects in-house. So there can be a fair difference in the cost of design if you decide you're going to take it out to construction, or if we just have to simply prepare a couple of plan sheets and Craig's guys build it in-house and buy all the materials. That's why it's not there. So those are the three options that we did take a look at. The last sheet there that you see that looks like a grid, what those are, what we call sanitary, the storm sewer profiles, give you an idea of what the depth of those sewers are going to be for each of the options. And for those that are involved in the business that can read these things, the options that go through the backyard, you end up with some locations where the sewer can be 10, 11, 12 feet deep, which affects the cost of construction, but it still can be built. There's nothing wrong with building a sewer 10, 12, 13, 14 feet deep. It just takes different level of equipment, worker protection in the trenches, things like that. So that's what we did. That's what we did to evaluate those three options. And I know there's probably other options to look at too, but those are the three that we laid out on the table before to the board. To give you an idea of the increase in costs, with respect to the change in construction costs that we've seen here lately, we added roughly 20% of the estimates we prepared back in 2017. Lately, it's been somewhat of a guess as to what the increase in cost is going to be until you complete the plans, advertise for bids, and get quotes for material. The big driver in the cost of projects nowadays with respect to pipe is the cost of the pipe itself, and the amount of time it takes to get it, things like that. I'm sure the Vienna Utility Board, Department of Utility Board, seeing some of the same things. It's the best we have. We use the best information that we have at the point in time when we prepare these costs.
Craig, have you reviewed these? Any recommendations or suggestions?
Yeah, of course, it's always the easiest one. We go to stay within our right of way. The only concern there was at that time was the existing sewer line elevation, but sewer analysis. When you get to that was either do that or, in my opinion, you do that one or purchase the house and make our retention system.
So Craig Richards' comments about, digging down 10, 11, 12 feet, that's not going to work. I mean, it's too deep.
We can't do the house.
No, I mean, but even still, if you go down 12 feet, how many feet would we be below the drainage ditch?
Well,
Unless you're going to put in a lift station and pump it somewhere else in the city.
there's a hills. There's not, the creek channel's over here and our elevation's here, but there's mountains here. That's why you refer to it 10 or 12 feet.
Okay.
It'll work.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of
Flow
definitely
lines.
And so of these three alternatives, which one are you saying that you think is most feasible?
The one like I said, I have these three to be the first one, or no, I'm sorry, the second one that actually stays inside the right of way.
The one that parallels the pavement, basically, on 8th Avenue. The one that parallels the pavement on 8th Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Craig, is that something your people could do in-house?
Even that one would
Alignment?
be difficult for us to do, because that's
It's not
24 inch
that deep.
culvert. And we have many excavators and removal concrete, it would take too much time for us to do it in-house, the contractor come here and get it in and get out. Because we're gonna have a lot of driveways obstructed, it would be a mess for us to do it. We do a lot of storm drainage projects, but we try to keep in the grass areas, we don't affect roads or traffic.
So based on Craig's estimate of $233,000, engineering wise, would we need them to be an engineer on this project?
Yeah, I think there's just some calculations that need to be done for sewer flows in that area, make sure we're not going to affect anything.
Yeah, I think one of the things that can be checked in terms of depth of that sewer out in that street, make sure we're not conflicting with sanitary sewer services on each one of the houses, make sure we don't conflict elevation on. I think that must be one thing to do.
The majority of those houses up there, Craig, have basement services on sewer.
Pardon?
Those houses up there on the north side, I'll call it north and west. Or like 4705, 07, those houses on that side, are basements being served with sanitary, or do you know?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that should be the obstruction we have, the size of that pipe. We're gonna go so deep, and the sewer lines elevation, that main lines through there is crossing over to the service lines of people's houses, just can't cut a sewer line out and raise up like a water line. So.
Right.
What's the line size now currently?
Geez, it's been so long since I've been up there, I think it was either 15 or 12 or 15 inch.
So like we're going to an 18-inch line in front of the house and then, then depends on how it goes, but a 12-inch or a 24-inch from there.
Yeah, I'd recommend doing 24 inch completely if we do it. Good. I mean, that 18-inch run is something like 50 feet, this could run 24 inch pipe. Yeah, you would be increasing the flow of the storm.
Okay, because I think the last time we spoke in October, really the main issue was that the line wasn't big enough just to take that volume of water out. Okay, so, all right, thank you.
Greg, just for historical purposes, when the house was built, did this problem start immediately?
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, about your time.
That's the gentleman back there.
Yeah, he might
Just
have.
from referencing my neighbors that are lifetime residents there, it has been an issue from the beginning. My neighbor up the street lived directly across the street. It was an issue from the time he was living.
So I'm just talking it out. I wonder if the contractor knew about that when they built the house there, that this was going to be an issue. We don't know, do we?
If I was a contractor,
Yeah.
or Steve's built houses, I've built houses up, if I built a house, you'd have a tendency to at least look at that, yes. Sometimes you build a driveway that goes down, you know you're gonna have water issues.
I was just kicking it around, wondering about that.
But there's a large percentage, I shouldn't say a large percentage, there is a lot of houses in the city of Vienna that have that exact same design. Come off street level, you go down into the driveway. I mean, this is not a unique situation. It just, the contour of the land and the way, it goes here and then it goes straight down. And that, I mean, it's the lowest spot in the neighborhood is what is really the problem is. Okay?
It was a 71, 72 construction, and I'm sure there's also weren't as many homes in that area. Whenever the rain falls on the street, that, flow from each home, gutters and everything, probably less at the time,
I know in the past that the scoffers have had sandbags posted beside their driveway or inside the garage. And every time that it would appear we were going to have a bad storm, they'd end up trucking, 10 bags of sand up there to block the end of the driveway off. And that's just impractical. You can't do it. And if you're not home, it just doesn't work. But how confident are we that this would fix the problem?
That's why we have an engineering firm.
Craig, how confident are we that this would fix the problem?
I'm confident that we will solve the problem, but there's always a chance that something much greater than a 100-year storm would come, that would affect nearly everybody on that street. That always exists, but the likelihood, that probability it's going to flood as frequently as it does, that's going to go away. There's different ways to route that stormwater around that house into that backyard. If we do the other options, you're routing the storm sewer back through those yards, and you put the catch basin back in that low spot in the backyard. So that would help part of that problem in a way if you did that too. The solutions for the other alternatives, wherever you're building something in your street, you're controlling what it is that gets the storm drainage that gets in your street. And I think the answer to the question that Mr. Thorpe had, is I think part of the problem was when they built the street and they built the fill to put the street in that low area, they caused part of the problem. The street was not, the storm drainage system associated with the street was not adequately designed. So it's that confounds the problem. I think that's where it started.
Greg, I guess I go back to you. I mean, we have 3 estimates here. We've had it appraised. We know what it'll cost to buy it. What are your recommendations?
Several factors here, okay? And, we're sitting here looking at these storm drain systems. Okay, we put all these large diameter pipes in and remove the water from the gentleman's house in front of it and take it to a stream channel. When we do that, you gotta keep in mind the effect that it might have downstream also, okay? We're increasing the flow to that channel, so when we do that, it could vastly affect the people that are downstream of that, okay? So you gotta keep that in mind. We really haven't looked at that, so. I'm a big fan of retention system, rain gardens. It would be really nice if the house wasn't there and we could make a retention system in there and make a lagoon. Water flows into, dissipates, nobody's harmed. It helps replenish the groundwater. It doesn't affect anybody downstream. It's taken care of. I know the cost of the house. I know I don't like buying houses. I know nobody likes to buy houses. If we don't do that, then the option would be to take the water down the street as option two. Okay.
So the drainage ditch is there. It goes through that neighborhood. It goes out by the country club, under Grand Central, and then out through the country club drainage system. How are we for elevation there? I mean, if we increase the water flow into that thing, is it going to have enough drainage, or are we going to end up pooling somewhere else?
The elevation's there, but you got a culvert under Grand Central that's it's a smaller diameter culvert. On the downstream side of that, you notice the sidewalks caving in a lot. It's causing a lot of erosion issues, golf course floods. Once it gets past that, the golf course gets to the high river, so I'm not worried about that. I know Mr. Breeden lives down there, what we call the Bridge to Nowhere. At that time, several years ago, that culvert wasn't big enough. We removed that culvert, did a walk bridge across it to try to increase the flow of that particular area. But if we're gonna do that, I would advise us to go and have First Light will look at that downstream side, or the stream side, and look at possible, stream bank erosion control, and maybe widen that out, get the water, get out of that area. Okay. It's gonna have to be looked at before I put that pipe in the ground.
Okay. All right, so,
Randy, can I ask the lawyer question?
yes.
Are any of these designs just going to move the problem from this place to another place and potentially affect other houses?
Let me answer that. That possibility exists because, I can't disagree with Craig, is that there is a portion of this stormwater that is not conveyed into that existing large drainage channel that crosses Grand Central Avenue. Some of it bypasses what drainage structures you have out there today and goes through and around 4705 8th Avenue. So, and it sits in that backyard. I haven't seen it after storm, but I've heard that there's a pond in that backyard, and eventually it perks into the ground. So if we build this storm drainage system, it's gonna turn that all of this, even more of that flow back around and go into that drainage channel that Craig's talking about. So I can't say that it will or will not cause more problems. It probably will.
So, okay, so you potentially are spending $300,000 to do the project. It will solve, at least absent some incredible storm, or the 100-year storm, I think is what you said. But it has at least some not nominal potential of just moving it to another residence.
It has some potential to cause stream bank erosion downstream someplace else. Whether it's gonna damage house, I don't know. Plus, we haven't looked at that far.
Is there a solution that solves the problem for this house that doesn't affect other residences, short of buying the house? Let me ask it this way. Is the only solution that resolves this problem buying the house without affecting the other residences?
Yeah,
I gotta think about how to answer that question. Because it's, I know.
well, let's look at it this way, okay, guys? That stream that we're tying into and increasing the flow of water, upstream of that, we have 4 retention systems already in place because that stream was at max capacity at Greenmont, Glenbrook, okay? It's 3, I'm sorry. I took out the 1, 2. Okay, so we know there's a problem in that stream already with the capacity of flow. That's why Greenmont put their retention systems in, that's why Glenbrook put their retention systems in. It all goes that same channel. So if we increase the flow down here, I have not had any design work done to make sure that stream capacity is gonna hold that additional flow. Okay, before I advise you to, we approve this second series of putting this storm drain in, hire Virgin Apple, do a complete study in that area to make sure it's gonna hold it. Okay, if you don't wanna do that, buy the house, let's make another retention system there, and your problem solved. We're not causing any more damage downstream. Okay? Actually, we kinda help that stream out.
So I have a question about that. So if you purchase a house, and then, I mean, I pretty much know how much that's gonna be. I mean, I live in the neighborhood, so, how much does the retention system cost?
There's costs involved, but it'd be cheaper than what that storm is, so.
That's spitball something, I mean,
Not that either.
$5 or, $50,000, I mean,
What do we have in 40 Street?
Pipe was around 50,000.
Would that be asphalt work in this one either,
so,
60,000.
okay, so if you add the cost of the house and the 50 or 60,000, you're back up to this 300 plus thousand. So I had another, question about retention system. You mentioned, the retention in Greenmont.
Yes.
And Is that the same retention system, the three dry ponds that are part of the pond run deal? And so I know that that is part of what's on the plan. That whole pond run plan, it's on 1.4 million, includes those dry dams. It's the same retention system that affects this, stream that runs there. Okay. So I read the engineering report on those dry dams, and I think you guys are opening Pandora's box when you get into that. But it potentially, could it potentially affect this if those dry dams are?
No, the original design work is where we need to get back to, okay? Right now, there's so much silt in it, the capacity's not there the way it was originally designed to handle. And once we dredge them out, then get back to the standard original capacity design. Okay, so right now, there's 6, 7 foot of fill in these. That's 6 or 7 foot of water, it's not gonna hold back. Okay. Once we dredge them, it gets back to the original capacity, okay, which is the reason it's put in to keep the control of flooding the streams.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, so next month on the agenda, there will be an agenda item on there for us to decide what to do with these 3 plans, or buy the house or whatever. All right, so you need to go take a look at the neighborhood, or Google Earth it and see what it looks like, and we will have all the numbers for you. And next month we'll make a decision, if that's all right with you all. All right, Bruce, I'll be in touch. All right. Okay. All right, so we move on. The next item this afternoon is the ARP discussion. I didn't ask to have that put on there, so I don't know who did. I don't know what.
Not me.
You asked me to keep it on there until you told me to take it off.
Okay. Well, with the ARP discussion, council has not decided what to do with any of the money except for the $350,000 that was allocated for the River Road project. So all of the rest of the money that's in there is still waiting on council to make a decision. So until council decides if and what the infrastructure projects are, or if they just allocate the money to the utility board for, the projects as needed, then that's the information. But, as of right now, there's not been any decisions made from the council level with the rest of the funds. But we do already have all of our money to do the River Road project with the county commission's contribution, and so that project is moving along now. Craig, have we determined any time frame yet as when we're going to actually start that project?
It's on the agenda.
So we're going to do that? Okay, we'll leave it right there then. All right. So then let's go to the 5-year plan. All right. We still have the same 5-year plan that you've looked at multiple times. Is there anything that someone would like to add to the 5-year plan, or discuss any of the items that are on there?
I have a question about the 5-year plan. Do we have any idea whatsoever the bid on 28th Street storm drainage improvement, what that's going to cost?
Which one are you referring to?
The 28th Street storm drainage.
The upper section that comes down to 15, down to Pond Road?
Mm-hmm.
No, we haven't.
Okay, because I know it's on here, and that was one question.
That's certainly we discussed with you all about how that's gonna work, so, and I think there's sure public meeting on that also. So, discuss what's priority on that. I know we got the reports back from the public, we should have a public meeting to make sure that's what everybody wants to actually do that project or not, or concentrate on a different area.
Because under stormwater, I was, so there's a big question mark in my mind about the 28th Street drainage problem. Then, we know what's what we're discussing now on 8th Avenue. This came before council, and I was curious about it because in council, we approved a donation or a right-of-way for some property in Greenmont because there was I think it was a culvert that had collapsed. So has that been repaired, or do we know the cost, or?
We are in process of design work in council.
So that will need to come before council?
Council, that'll be in the springtime. Design, there's no sense getting there in the middle of winter and just gonna make it absolutely. So,
The thing on Glenbrook won't come before council.
we bid it out of the street project.
You're calling that a street project?
Fremont?
The one that has the 3 homes that has a sinkhole in the back?
Yeah. Street project, storm drain, street project. So I bid it out, I'll go to council. That's a replacement of the whole pipe.
Okay, because I was kind of curious about that too, because I have it in, I just have my running total list of stormwater projects, and I included that in my thought process, and of course, we don't have an estimate for it at all, but, so basically, I'm just looking at over $2 million in stormwater projects. So I was hoping that maybe we had some idea, but I guess I'll just have to wait then.
I think the number's a little low.
Well, yeah, I'm just going by what's being teed up right now.
Yeah. It don't take long, so, well, I'm not for
Exactly, exactly.
Other storm drain issues. This could be 300,000-400,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of 28th Street, that could be a $1.2, $1.6 million project on itself.
It could be. I was just going back into what was discussed several years ago when Mr. Clatworthy came and so on and so forth. And some spitball numbers were thrown out there, and they were not. They were in the around 200,000, a little bit less, 160, 200. So I don't hold anybody to that. I'm just trying to, yeah, I'm just trying, I'm sorry, the 29th, up on 29th Street part, not down on 28th, 15th Avenue, running into Pond Run.
I include that whole project from Pond Run back up to the High Street.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can look at it as a whole or as 2 different projects, so.
Well, we'd have to start at the bottom, work our way back up, so
Okay.
that's the issue with that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So we move on to new business this afternoon. I'd like to ask for an executive session to discuss a water damage claim.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we go into executive session to discuss